In a forest near the small town of Basden in Spain, there is a young girl's dead body. A shadow in the trees is watching. The police, led by Inspector Amaya, arrive to search for clues. The girl went missing last night after missing her bus, and her shoes are found by the road. The girl's body indicates she was strangled with a rope. Her makeup washed away, various animal hairs are mixed with hers, and there's a traditional sweat on her groin which is shaved. There are no signs of abuse, but her hand position seems unnatural. Nearby, they find the girl's bag with an inide, revealing her name as Hoa, and she was only 13. Amaya, recognizing similarities, goes to prison to question Carla's boyfriend, who explains Carla enjoyed risky situations but refused to ride with him on the night she died, tearfully denying any involvement. He swears he didn't harm Carla, and Amaya believes him. Test results confirm Amaya's theory. Carla and Hoa were killed by the same rope, suggesting a serial killer. Due to her past work with the FBI, Amaya is assigned to lead the case. This requires her to stay in Bastan, her hometown. After reaching Bastan, Amaya goes to the police station to meet the local cops. She compares the cases of Carla and Hoa, noticing both girls had sweats on their groins and animal hair mixed with theirs. Afterward, Amaya goes to her childhood home and stays with her aunt Ingrassi and sister Rosora. Being there brings back memories of her childhood and how her mother, Rosario, used to ignore or push her away. The following day, Amaya and Officer Jonan attend Hoa's funeral and notice someone suspiciously sneaking around. They chase after the person and find out it's Rosora's husband, Freddie. He explains he ran because Amaya's presence makes him nervous due to a recent fight with Rosara, who's been staying at her aunt's. Their conversation is abruptly interrupted by Victor, the ex-husband of Amaya's other sister Flora. Despite their separation, he still occasionally communicates with her. Later, Amaya goes to visit Flora, who has taken charge of the family's bakery business. There has always been a sense of resentment from Flora towards her sister. Amaya shares the sweet from the crime scene with Flora, and upon tasting it, Flora identifies that it was crafted with fresh, top-quality ingredients in a wood-fired oven. Recognizing that only a few shops maintain such high standards, Flora plans to prepare a list by the next day. As Amaya returns to town, the air is pierced by the anguished cries of a mother desperately calling out for her missing daughter, and who failed to show up for school. Promptly, Amaya contacts the police station, rallying a search party with all the willing neighbors, while scouring the forest for any sign of Anne. The officers following her command to reinforce the ongoing search, Amaya heads home, where a surprise awaits her. Her boyfriend, James, has arrived to offer his support. Unaware of the local folklore as he is an American, James has heard news reports attributing blame to a mysterious entity known as Basaja. Seeking clarification, Rosora, Amaya's sister, explains that Basajan is a tall, hairy humanoid creature akin to Bigfoot. Rosora expresses offense at the accusations, emphasizing that Basajan is, in fact, considered the protector of the forest. As they prepare for bed, James curiously inquires about Amaya's childhood, specifically why she lived with her aunt rather than her family. Amaya, avoiding a direct response, is prompted to revisit a painful memory. In this recollection, Amaya recalls an incident from her childhood when her mother Rosario carelessly cut her hair, causing it to bleed. The weight of these memories makes it challenging for Amaya to find peace in sleep. Seeking solace, she moves to the window to observe the rain, only to be shocked by the unexpected sight of Anne standing on the bridge. Or Prasel, and Enya swiftly rushes outside at the sight of Anne on the bridge, but the girl disappears before she can reach her. Despite Amaya's efforts to search the town with patrols, Anne remains elusive. The next day, during breakfast with Jonan, they plan their investigative steps, and to their surprise, Flora and Detective Montes, unseen at the station for days, appear as an unexpected twist in the unfolding events. As a man on a bike discovers another pair of shoes by the road, the police quickly surround the area. Sadly, they find Anne's lifeless body, mirroring the previous victim's condition, sweat included. The doctor estimates she's been deceased for about 24 hours, eliminating the possibility of her being outside Amaya's window the night before. In an unexpected turn, Monte spots movement in the woods, fires his gun, only to injure a pregnant Koipo otter. Convinced he saw a humanoid shape, Montes, remorseful, watches as Amaya compassionately ends the suffering of the otter and its unborn offspring. Later, Jonas and Amaya visit Anne's parents. While inspecting the girl's room, Amaya discovers Anne's red coat, the same one she saw her wearing the other night, containing a pocket full of walnuts. Amaya then examines Anne's computer, revealing a folder with suggestive pictures, contradicting the parents' claim that she didn't have a boyfriend. Observing the autopsy, Amaya notes the familiar hand position and the removal of makeup, forming a pattern. She speculates the killer follows a ritual to purify the girls and draws a connection between the hand position and an image of the Virgin Mary. Amaya also highlights the consistent location by the river, possibly symbolizing the washing away of sins. In the afternoon, Jonan and Amaya visit Anne's school to talk to her friends. One girl reveals that Anne portrayed herself as innocent, but was secretly involved with a married man. Upon returning home, Amaya accidentally drops one of the walnuts, and her aunt Ingrassi explains that walnuts symbolize the power of witches. In her room, Amaya finds a key pendant, triggering a memory of her father giving her money to lift her spirits after a terrible haircut imposed by her mother. Fearing her mother would take the money, her dad also provided an employee key for Amaya to hide the money in the family bakery. In the evening, Rosario, Amaya's mother, went to Amaya's room to taunt her, leaving a walnut on her bedside table. In the present, Amaya wakes up abruptly, realizing she visited the bakery without conscious thought. Panicking, she rushes home and impulsively discards the key. The next day, Amaya and Jonan consult a former commissioner who recalls the case of a foreign girl named Teresa. Teresa was found dead with candy on her legs, strangled, and left near the river. Despite being dragged through the forest, her hair was immaculate. Subsequently, they discovered more girls with perfect hair in different areas. The man provides a map, confessing they never found any clues or suspects in those cases. After her visit to the bakery, Amaya witnesses a heated argument between Flora and Victor. Inside, Flora hands her a prepared list, but Amaya, curious, also requests a sample of flour. As she steps out, she encounters Victor, but their conversation is abruptly halted by a shocking phone call. Amaya rushes to Freddy's house, only to find him unresponsive and attempting self-harm. Frantically breaking down the door, she intervenes in time to save him. While attending to Freddy, Amaya discovers a poignant note in his injured hand, revealing a heart-wrenching connection to Annis Tue numbering you, Anne. I will love you forever. In the hospital, a doctor validates Freddy's attempt at self-deletion, emphasizing that the wound on his hand wasn't offensive. Amaya shares the discovered note with Rosora, unveiling Freddy's unfaithfulness. Despite Rosora's low opinion of him, she denies his capacity for murder. Unable to communicate verbally, Amaya seeks out Freddy's friend, initially ignored until the mention of Freddy as a suspect. The friend discloses their night at a bar, highlighting Freddy's erratic behavior and obsessive calls to a woman who remained unresponsive. A fit of rage led Freddy to punch a mirror, necessitating a hospital visit for stitches. Subsequent day, Amaya attends Anne's funeral, where she's astonished to spot Flora among the mourners. Abruptly interrupted by a police officer, Amaya learns of another gruesome discovery. A 15-year-old girl named Johanna found deceased in an abandoned house. Having frequently eloped from home, Johanna's mother hadn't reported her absence. The doctor estimates her demise about a week prior, noting the absent limb, bruised countenance, signs of manual strangulation, and evidence of maltreatment. The authorities suspect a macabre mimicry inspired by news coverage, aiming to shift culpability onto the serial offender. Spotting a silhouette among the trees, Amaya rushes outside, only to find the enigmatic figure eluding her. Upon their return to the station, Johanna's mother arrives with a startling revelation. Her daughter met her demise at the hands of her stepfather, Jason. Having initially been a caring step-parent, Jason's feelings took a dark turn as Johanna matured, spiraling into a disturbing obsession that led him to surreptitiously implant a tracker in her phone. The day Johanna vanished, Jason, deceitfully asserting he had removed the tracker, left an ominous trail of suspicion for his wife to ponder. As the officers embark on the search for the suspect, Amaya confers with Jonan, who unveils the findings of his investigation. Unearthing 7 more cases marked by similar traits, Jonan reveals a pattern that went unnoticed in the past. Despite subtle differences, Amaya and Jonan discern the work of an individual fine-tuning a ritual, evolving toward a perfected modus operandi. The initial case, that of Teresa 14 years prior, hinted at the killer's experimentation with violent methods. Jonan theorizes that, during those years, the perpetrator aimed to mete out punishment to girls deemed contributors to societal debauchery, following a string of deaths. There was a hiatus of 7 years before the killer resurfaced, targeting a girl presumed to have fallen off a cliff the previous year. With meticulously arranged hair and hands echoing the Virgin Mary's pose, Amaya and Jonan discern a pattern. The killer is orchestrating a spectacle to convey a message to the local populace, reflecting on the victims from a decade ago. Hailing from different towns, Amaya tasks Jonan with scouring newspapers of the respective murder days, suspecting a deliberate connection that belies the seemingly random choices of the killer. Under the ominous shroud of night, Amaya yields to Ingrassi's tarot reading. The cards ominously hint that the killer lurks nearby, poised to target Amaya and her kin. Seeking the identity, the foreboding devil card emerges, plunging Ingrassi into fearful exclamations. Simultaneously, along a desolate road, a stranded girl, forsaken by the last bus, is unsuspectingly ushered into a van's ominous embrace. The police car nearby oblivious to the unfolding menace. In the hazy light of the following day, Amaya confronts Johanna's stepfather, Jason, discovered unconscious on a trail. Swiftly, he confesses to brutalizing and ultimately ending Johanna's life, attempting to emulate the recent murders he witnessed on the news. However, Jason vehemently denies the mutilation of Johanna's arm, asserting that an unknown force transported him to the trail overnight, his recollection blurred by the surreal experience of being carried by an elusive figure. As Amaya prepares to depart, a ranger recounts an eerie encounter, a distant whistle echoing through the woods. Intrigued, he followed the sound to discover a mysterious figure carrying a bag into a concealed cave. Attempting an approach for interrogation, the ranger found the person had vanished without a trace. Upon returning home, Amaya stumbles upon a heated family dinner already in progress. Tensions flare as Flora disapproves of the deceased girl's lifestyles, sparking an argument. Ingrassi intervenes, urging everyone to cease the discussion. Unyielding, Flora continues, revealing Amaya's past departure and her regret for sending Rosario to a clinic. A shocking revelation ensues as James, unaware of Rosario's condition, learns of Amaya's deceptive narrative. The confrontation escalates, leading to Flora's departure with Victor. Maya receives an urgent call from the station, prompting her immediate departure. Upon arrival, she discovers that none of the analyzed flower samples match the sweets from the crime scenes. Concern sets in as only one sample remains untested, the one belonging to Rosario. In a peculiar turn of events, Amaya and Jonan observe Detective Montes entering the station on his day off, grabbing reports before making a hasty exit. Amaya and Jonan tail Montes to a cafe where he hands over reports to Flora. Confronting them, Amaya and Jonan accuse Montes of stealing evidence, leading to Flora's arrest as she remains tight-lipped about the situation. Returning to the station, Amaya compares the latest report, exposing Flora's deception as she had switched the flower samples. Flora confesses, citing a desire to protect her business and avoid entanglements with her employees. Their dispute is halted by Amaya's boss, who summons her to his office. The boss, uncovering Freddie's involvement with Anne and Flora's flower deception concealed by Amaya, deems it a conflict of interest and reassigns the case to Montes. Despite Amaya's attempts to expose Montes and Flora's collaboration, the boss accepts Montes' explanation that he was merely questioning Flora as a suspect. As Amaya leaves, the urgency of another missing girl unfolds around her. Shortly afterward, her FBI mentor calls, advising her to revisit her roots to overcome the trauma obstructing her perception. In the bakery, Amaya is flooded with memories of a traumatic night from her past. Recalling the desperate attempt to hide money using her father's key, she is interrupted by the sudden arrival of Rosario. Amaya, fearing her mother's wrath, attempts to conceal herself unsuccessfully. Discovering the money and key, Rosario accuses her daughter of theft, leading to a violent confrontation. As Amaya attempts to escape, Rosario's rage intensifies, culminating in a threat with a rolling pin. Returning home in a bewildered state, Rosario's husband discovered the ominous key and hastened to the bakery. To his horror, he unearthed an unconscious Amaya buried within a flour cask. Swiftly rescuing her, he rushed Amaya to the hospital, where the doctor explained that the flour had formed a protective scab, preventing her from bleeding out. The grim revelation unfolded as the doctor disclosed Rosario's continued assault even after Amaya had lost consciousness. Upon her release, Amaya was relocated to live with Engrassi. In the present, driven by a need to seek answers, Amaya visits her mother at the clinic, only to discover Rosario bound to the bed. When confronted about the murders, Rosario responds with insults and attempts to attack Amaya, leaving her emotionally distressed as she exits the unsettling scene. Exiting the room, Amaya is informed by a doctor that Rosario had to be restrained for assaulting a nurse and engaging in cannibalistic behavior while uttering Amaya's name. Adding to the disturbing revelation, the doctor shares that Amaya's brother-in-law frequently visits Rosario, bringing her flowers during his visits. While delving into old newspapers, Jonan uncovers a photo featuring Flora, prompting him to persist in his search. His investigation leads to the discovery of Victor participating in multiple motorcycle conventions, clarifying that he is the brother-in-law mentioned by the doctor, not Freddie. Amaya swiftly communicates her findings to Jonan, instructing him to alert the others as she embarks on the pursuit of Victor. Unfortunately, Montes, exploring a cave with no signal, remains oblivious to the unfolding developments. In her haste, Amaya races through the rain-soaked road, encountering a blockade. Attempting to brake, her car skids uncontrollably, ultimately flipping and landing upside down. Simultaneously, Jonan reaches Victor's residence, discovering it is. While he endeavors to inform Amaya, she remains unconscious within the overturned vehicle. While Montes and his team explore the cave, they stumble upon a grisly sight. Numerous human bones, including those of children, and a severed woman's arm. Simultaneously, elsewhere, Victor begins the macabre process of grooming his most recent victim for the ritual. Amaya regains consciousness to the sound of a piercing whistle. Somehow, she finds herself outside the overturned car and follows the Basajan through the fog, leading her to a mysterious house. She cautiously enters, where she hears her parents' favorite song playing, and discovers an active oven with a sweet inside. A girl's scream echoes through the house, prompting Amaya to search further, unveiling a chilling collection of newspaper clippings chronicling the murders and photographs of the victims. Wilpur ambushes Amaya, assaulting her with a rolling pin, causing injury to her arm. When she questions him about the abducted girl, Victor launches into a delusional tirade, condemning modern girls for their perceived promiscuity. Seizing an opportune moment, Amaya retaliates by stabbing his leg with scissors, enabling her to escape. She skillfully fends off Victor's pursuit, kicking him away as she makes her getaway. As Amaya ascends the stairs, Victor overtakes her, delivering another blow with the rolling pin. A fierce struggle ensues, with Amaya resisting Victor's attempts to strangle her, summoning her strength. She intensifies the scissors' grip on his leg, successfully repelling him and creating a brief respite. As Amaya rushes to free the girl, Victor approaches menacingly. However, before he can strike, Flora intervenes, firing 2 shots that incapacitate him. Some years later, at the station, Amaya unfolds the entire case. Victor's first murder 14 years ago targeted Teresa due to her perceived threat to the town's traditional values. Suffering from guilt, Victor turned to alcohol, convincing himself that he was purging society of perceived impurities. Over the next 6 years, he claimed the lives of 8 more girls until Flora entered his life, helping to keep his violent tendencies in check. During their 7 years of marriage, Victor refrained from killing, but after the divorce, his rage resurfaced, leading to a renewed spree of murders. The killings were meticulously staged, each detail aimed at conveying a specific message to regain Flora's admiration. Montes reveals that the cave contained bones from both Victor's victims and unrelated crimes. Although Johanna's arm was found, it wasn't severed by her stepfather or Victor. A few weeks later, Flora publishes a book portraying her mother as the true guardian of the town's purity in the family business. Excitedly, Amaya and James share the joyful news of their impending parenthood with Rosura and Ingras. If you found this content enjoyable, please consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing for more. Your support is greatly appreciated.